What is going on, everybody? Happy Thanksgiving to all out there. Welcome back to NFL Turf Talk here on Thursday morning. We are streaming to you exclusively on the DSM Media Turf Talk YouTube channel. So, guys, first and foremost, if you are new to the channel, if you want to be interactive throughout today's show, if you just like the content, make sure to smash that subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it. It's the best spot to get your thoughts, comments, and questions pulled up on the screen here with your host. I'm one half of them, Dylan Davis. To my right, my faithful co-host, Scotty. 3 games today, a Black Friday game tomorrow. We're going to be diving into all of it. All 3 today are NFC divisional matchups. But my man, happy Thanksgiving. And how are you feeling?
Happy Thanksgiving. Ready to dig into the food and get to it, man. But yeah, we got some matchups today. They aren't the greatest matchups in the world. But we got matchups. We got football nonetheless. The late night game isn't too bad, right? Now, I'm not sure. Is Gino playing? I'm guessing not.
He is questionable at the moment.
Interesting. So he'll probably be a game time decision. Yeah, questionable. DK Metcalf, questionable. Kenneth Walker, questionable. Yeah. So that one's pending. It could be a good game. It could be a horrible game, depending on the way those go. But nonetheless, that's probably the best matchup of the day. Dallas and DC, I mean, Dallas is 12.5-point favorites. I don't know if I see it that far widespread. And we've seen the Commanders play up to the Eagles in division, but we've also seen them play down to the Giants in division. So
for sure,
hard to say what that game is going to really look like score-wise, but
yeah, no, I agree. It's 3 NFC divisional matchups, and I think the schedule makers were hoping for a little bit more implications within these 3 games. Obviously, the night game, like you said, pending health for Seattle, will have some implications because that's a 7-3 Niners team taking on a 6-4 Seattle team in the NFC West. And if Seattle can somehow pull out a W in the 12th man, that shifts the landscape of that division a little bit and definitely helps out our Eagles when it comes to that number 1 seed in the NFC, with San Francisco right on our heels, as well as the Lions who played today. But it's definitely going to be an odd day of football. This is not an 8-2 Lions team playing an Aaron Rodgers-led Green Bay Packers team. It's a 4-6 Packers team who have 1 road win out of 5 tries this year so far. And you have a Commanders team, like you said, coming in 4-7. They are 3-3 on the road, so they're built well on the road. They also lost to the Eagles on the road, but in an overtime game. So it seems like the Commanders play some competitive ball with Sam Howell and Eric Bieniemy in opponent's territory. So we'll see how this one plays out, man. But like you said, on paper, not shaping up to be a great day of football. Let's start with this noon game, this 12:30 start with the Packers and the Lions. Now, the Lions obviously struggled last week at home versus the Chicago Bears, but they stormed back late in the 4th quarter and scored twice to improve to 8-2 on the year. Obviously, to a lot of people from an outside perspective, it looks like a very ugly win. It looks like what the hell was going on this afternoon. But as Eagles fans, we should know a win is a win is a win. It doesn't matter how you get the job done right now. They do that. Jared Goff continues to play good ball. Their rushing attack of Montgomery and Gibbs is kind of picking up steam in terms of balance and in terms of both guys getting touches and getting on the field. So that's big for them. Obviously, Amon-Ra is approaching 900 yards on the year. He's been great. Reversely, you have Jordan Love and company who beat the LA Chargers, who we were just very harsh on yesterday's show. And they coming off of a win. It's not a great sign for Green Bay. Wins, they're 4-6 on the year. Like I said, not good on the road. The fact that they're coming off one of their lone wins on the year makes me feel like they're not going to go and make this a competitive game. If from a Lions perspective, you have to think that they clean things up on the short week. I know it's divisional opponent. I know that, anything can happen on this Thursday, on this holiday, but my point of view, throw it to you here, man. I think that the Lions win this one. I think they win it by 2+ scores. I think they're going to cover the 7.5.
Interesting. Yeah, 2 scores sounds like a lot, but it is the Detroit Lions. They do score the football. They are coming off a rough game. I guess I'm just wondering if this is like a letdown spot for the Lions coming off a tough game against the Bears, who
yeah.
really shouldn't have been in the game with them in the first place. But Green Bay, you know, they're kind of coming in two different directions. Green Bay coming off a big W against the Chargers, a team that they probably shouldn't have beat. But you look at the matchup previously, the Lions beat the Green Bay Packers earlier in the season. I believe it was like week 4, 34-20. We saw Jordan Love struggle in this game.
Yep.
23 of 36, but 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 5 sacks. So he wasn't great. They weren't able to get the run game going in that game. And that's probably the biggest key for me if you look at the Packers side of things. How can you make this game an in-division game, a game that's going to be in Detroit? I imagine Detroit's going to be a madhouse, given the way their team is playing right now and how big a Thanksgiving game is right now. I imagine Detroit should be pretty lit there. And so to that point, how do you make it easier on your quarterback, your young quarterback like Jordan Love? You got to run the football, and they haven't been able to get it going like the way they're used to with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. But Aaron Rodgers, obviously not having him, that affects your run game as well. And we've seen that this season. So it starts there for them. But you also got to get stops. The Detroit Lions, they obviously score a lot of points. And I don't expect that to stop. So to your point, yeah, I do see the Lions. The more I talk myself through it, I see the Lions winning this game. There is just an ounce of, you know, a little bit of doubt there where is this where the Lions, you know, trip up? Could this be?
I think it's an interesting. I think it's an interesting thought, but I think my response would be even though they won last week was the trip up. Yeah, and I think that's a testament that this is a good team. Do I think they're in the same tier as San Francisco and Philly? No, I don't think that they're going to beat either one of those teams, but I think that they're right in that conversation. They are 8-2. They beaten the Kansas City Chiefs in week 1. You have to start crediting them where it's due. I think they're another team that have shown they can win in different ways, like when they scored 40 plus in LA in a firefight, right? They come away with a win there. They've also won games where their defenses had to make plays, and Aiden Hutchinson comes up big. Rockets making an appearance into the room. But I just think that last week was the letdown. The Bears couldn't finish the job. I also think from the other perspective, like, are the Packers and Jordan Love good enough to beat a Chargers team who's underperforming, but it's still a Chargers team, right, with Justin Herbert, and then go on the road on a short week and compete with this Lions team? My fear is that we don't get a very competitive 12:30 game to start our holiday tomorrow, man. So if you guys tomorrow for this Thanksgiving, it's a good I don't know what time people eat. Some people eat at 1, some people eat at 6:30. It's such a weird day to me, but tomorrow might be a good day for some folks to eat at 1 o'clock, so you don't have to really watch too much of this mess. It also depends where you decide to eat your Thanksgiving. Some people are scattered all throughout the house in front of the TV. Some people sit at a table. So it depends, man. But I think that the Lions win this game pretty handily. And I'll be looking at some tickets with the Lions names on it tomorrow. The second game of the slate involves the Eagles a little bit. It is an NFC East battle in Dallas. The Commanders and Sam Howell head down there. Like you said to start the show, Dallas is sitting at 12.5-point favorites. A little odd to me. I know that they've blown out the Giants. They've blown out the Panthers in back-to-back weeks. I know that offense can hum. I know that defense can get after the quarterback, which is definitely a concern for Sam Howell tomorrow with how much he has been hit and sacked this year. But 12.5 seems like a little widespread within this matchup. I don't know. What do you think's more important in this matchup? Do you think it's more important for how do I want to phrase this? Forget it. I was going to say, do you think it's more important for Dallas? But yeah, Dallas needs to stay within this division race with Philly and stay within their wild card reach of the first wild card spot. But I was looking at this from a Commander's point of view, obviously not in terms of making the playoffs, but just in terms of showing that they're headed in the right direction. Because so far, in the season, Sam Howell has looked like he can be part of their future plans. And obviously we've seen it up close and personal with the Eagles, the 2 Eagles matchups. But if you get to 4-8 and then maybe you get to 4-9 and Sam Howell continues to take sack after sack after sack and turn the football over.
Yeah.
At what point can the season spiral out of control for the Washington Commanders and their potential franchise quarterback, right? But no, all the
I
pressure
think
is
they're on the
obviously
brink right now. Yeah, I think they're on the brink of that spiral right now, and this is where it could, get really out of hand if they come out and lose by 2-3 scores to the Dallas Cowboys. I am interested to see how the Commanders' offense specifically comes out and plays against that Dallas defense, because obviously we know Sam Howell had field days against the Eagles, getting the ball out quick. Eric Bieniemy game plan. He had them covered against us. I'm interested to see, can they do something similar to the Cowboys in that sense of getting the ball out of Sam Howell's hands quick, making the right decisions. They do have wide receivers that can beat you, right? Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel down the line, even Byron Pringle. He's got some burners on him. So they got guys, but it's just, can they put it together week to week? And that's been kind of the problem. One week they're together, one week they're just all out of sorts. They've now lost 2 in a row. You lost to the Giants and Tommy DeVito. And that is kind of that breaking
that's a
point
backbreaker
where now you're obviously, I would expect the Cowboys to come out and win this game. But if you come out here and get blown out on Thanksgiving, man, in front of the whole entire world, because this game is in the middle of the day, everybody's going to see this one. It's obviously over. They're 4-7. They would be 4-8 at that time, but now you're talking about that spiral out of control.
Right?
Do we try different things? Do we try a different quarterback? Do we try, all across the board? Does Ron Rivera get fired? Which, by the way, if I was the Commanders, I would definitely get rid of him. I would move Eric Bieniemy to head coach.
Well, that was going to be my next point.
But
I think, I was just going to say, now that they're down to 4-8, if they lose your 4-9, if you start to spiral and Howell's turning the ball, like, to me, it's most important that they at least see that Sam Howell is their guy moving forward, because if he struggles and you lose 3 straight and now you're at 4-11 on the year, 4-12 on the year, what if Bieniemy walks? So you already have questions about your quarterback. And then he leaves. How much of that little bit of success Sam Howell had to do with his OC?
Yeah.
So, I think it's very important for Washington to figure out what Sam Howell is in terms of their future.
The only thing I would say in regards to that is that I feel like there had to be discussions under the table with Eric Bieniemy that you are next in line here. It's only a matter of time before Rivera's out the door. To get him out of Kansas City, to come to the Commanders and go up to that shitty FedEx Field every Sunday.
My thing is that's definitely a possibility. However, it might not have been so much that he had to be persuaded out of Kansas City. It might have been that he continues to get passed over time and time again because he's in Andy Reid's shadow. So for him, it's easy to go to Washington and showcase what he can do with an underperforming roster and then say, you're still going to pass me over? So it could be in Washington. They could move on from Ron Rivera, or this was just a showcase year for Eric Bieniemy to get a job elsewhere.
They could lose the rest of their games this season, quite honestly. I mean, Cowboys, Dolphins, Rams, Jets,
let me ask
Niners,
you this.
Cowboys.
All right.
They could lose
let me ask you this, since Washington is part of this conversation. Chargers finish under 500. Brandon Staley out. Eric Bieniemy in Los Angeles.
It's like, do I want to be in the division with Patrick Mahomes, or do I want to be in a division with Jalen Hurts? Yeah, I mean, I would have to take it over DC, I feel like.
With the talent? Absolutely. Yeah. Then it would be interesting to see what a struggling not a struggling, but a
you'd have
losing type of Justin Herbert starts to look like, man. But
I'm not sure what Eric Bieniemy's contract is. Like, would they have to trade him? Like, I'm not sure.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
I do feel you though.
But from a Dallas perspective, obviously you win this game, you're 8-3. You're right in the race for the NFC East, right? You play Philly again in Dallas in a couple of weeks. Even if you don't win this division, you're going to win double-digit games. You're going to be a top wild card seed and be back in the postseason. What are you looking for? I know we hate to see positives within this team, but what are you
Yeah.
looking for from an outsider's point of view if you want to see what Dallas can do? Because again, we're kind of in this spot where does this even matter for Dallas? Because they've lost to San Fran and they've lost to Philly, their test. But then they beat up on the Giants and the Panthers and the does this matter to you, or are you looking at this, if Dak throws 4 touchdowns and no turnovers and the defense has a pick 6 and 6 sacks, like if this is a dominant win, you're like, they're humming, or is this just can't do it against anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to say it's can't do it against anybody else, but I would say this game really doesn't matter in what style that they win. They don't need to blow them out. If it's a close game and they win, that's all that really matters. The only thing that would truly matter would it be if they lost. I think the Cowboys against these type of teams have more than proved that they're not in that level of competition, right? When they beat teams like this, they beat them pretty handedly. I mean, it started from week 1, 40-0 against the Giants, 30-10 against the Jets. You played the Patriots 38-3. The Chargers, that was a closer one. Rams 43-20. Giants 49-17. Panthers 33-10. So outside of their losses, obviously, and outside of that one game against the Chargers, they're blowing bad teams out of the water.
Which is what good teams can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And to that point, that's why I don't think they need to do that in this game to prove anything. They've done it. They don't need to, go out and get style points. They just need to win games. And then when those tests come around, they got to start knocking those tests down. That's what's really important. But
for sure,
all this is for Dallas is a stopping point. As far as, another token towards winning the division or staying in competition for the division with the Eagles.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point, man. That's what sucks when you get a Cowboys versus a 4-7 team on Thanksgiving, because it's like
national television.
There's no stock in it, because outside of if they lose,
the only stock is if Commanders can come in here and upset. That's the only stock we can put in.
Which is essentially a lose-lose situation for Dallas. Not a lose-lose. The job is just to win the game from their point of view. But in terms of changing anybody's minds, there's nothing Dallas can do tomorrow.
Agreed.
To get the job done.
They won't prove anything.
All right. So I got Dallas winning this one. Do you think obviously they win, or do you think the Commanders can upset?
Yeah, I think Dallas is going to win at home in this one. I do think they'll take care of business against Commanders.
Yeah,
I think we've seen the best of the Commanders already. I think they're going downhill.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Sunday night football, because it's on NBC. Thursday night football, the last game of this Thanksgiving slate. The 7-3 49ers head to Seattle to take on the 6-4 Seattle Seahawks. Obviously, one game separating these two in the NFC West. It's a huge game for Seattle, but so much left unknown for us here in terms of what this matchup can look like. Kenneth Walker missed a lot of the game against the Rams with an injury. He's questionable. DK Metcalf's questionable. Their quarterback, Geno Smith, missed about 2 or 3 possessions late in that game. Came back for the final possession, but you could still see something was up with his shoulder and his arm.
Weird.
He's questionable for Thursday night's matchup. So if Geno's out, I'll take it another step. If Geno plays but DK's out, if one of those two is out, they're not winning this game. They're going to have an incredibly difficult time winning this game anyway.
Probably not either way.
Yeah, I know we like to think they have a chance and it could be a good game. These two teams met in Seattle in the postseason last year. And it was a very quick exit for the Seattle Seahawks, a very brutalizing loss. So when you look at it from that point, they're already going to have a tough time. If they're missing either DK or Geno on offense, they're going to get blown out. But if they're fully healthy, I do think they can make it a game, and that's all I can really ask for. But it's an interesting day to be an Eagles fan, man. We have a Cowboys game and the San Francisco game. So we have two teams to root against. And Detroit, who's right on our heels for the number 1 seed. So unfortunately, I'm going to go with the Niners here in this one, and that means that it'll be an 0-for-3 kind of day for the Eagles if my picks play out correctly. But I think the Niners have too much. Even if Geno plays, man, if they're missing DK or missing Kenneth Walker, they're going to struggle in the rushing department, I think, tomorrow against the San Francisco 49ers defense. You do that, I think Geno's going to turn the ball over once or twice if they can't establish the run at all. And then I think that I like the I like this Seattle defense. I like their corners. I don't think they have enough to slow down Purdy. Like, if you can't get pressure on Purdy, I don't think you're going to have a very successful day against San Fran's offense.
Yeah.
And Seattle's weakness is the fact that they don't have a ton of premier pass rushers. So with taking all that into account, I think that San Fran wins this game.
Yeah, I would take San Fran in this game. It is interesting it being in Seattle. Obviously, a nice home field advantage for Seattle. If Geno can play, that's a big upgrade just from a confidence standpoint. I feel like for the Seattle Seahawks, like you said, need Kenneth Walker or DK. One of those two has to suit up. I would imagine DK is going to. I feel like he's been questionable for most of this season, and he's suited up for the most part every time. I'm interested to see, like, what's the weather like tomorrow. Like, those are the type of things that we would need to be calculated.
Something to muck up.
Have a chance. Like, that's where I'm kind of at with the Seahawks.
Something to muck up this game against San Francisco.
Yeah. Now, you're missing Hufanga. I'm interested to see how big of a piece he is to that secondary, because it's a secondary that isn't that great in the first place. He is
it's
one
the
of
weakness of their defense.
You know what I mean? He's an all-pro safety, even in his young career. So to that point, I'm interested to see how they adjust without him back there. Your safety net, your run support, all of that. But nonetheless, I don't think that safety injury is going to be enough to, let Seattle have a chance. I hate to say they don't have a chance. Like, if Geno plays, if DK plays, if Kenneth Walker somehow plays, I think he's the least likely. Based on his injury. I think it was like an oblique injury or something with his stomach, like groin area. So I don't expect to see him. But if DK and Geno play, I don't want to say they have no shot in Seattle, because if they have no shot, then we've kind of been, fooled by the Seahawks all season in reality, where we've had them in our top 10 at certain points.
Absolutely.
Power rankings. But
if they had no shot, the spread would also be like 16.5, not
everything's sticking to football purposes, right? And not including a weather and all.
Not worried about the weather situation.
I'm gonna go with the 49ers to win this game. They definitely should.
I agree with you, man. Real quick to wrap up this little Thanksgiving Day preview, we do have some Black Friday football tomorrow for the first time in NFL history, and boy, we're off to a banger here. Another great game lined up on the slate. It was meant to be a great game when the schedule makers put this out, but we have Tua and the Dolphins. That's fun. Coming to town to take on, I don't know their quarterback's name this week, because Zach Wilson has officially something. Sure. Boyle?
I don't know.
Zach Wilson has officially been benched, and there's a new quarterback taking place in New York. Now, obviously, what's going to be interesting here is Miami has struggled against good teams this year.
Yeah.
It's been a fact. You wouldn't consider this Jets team a good team. They're 4-6. They're playing an unknown quarterback. Their offense has been anemic. However, you're talking about a defense that has just kept their team in every single game they've played. Yeah. Is there any way, shape, or form that with this dude stepping off his front stoop, his couch, wherever they found him, in place for Zach Wilson, is there any way that the Jets offense is serviceable enough, it's better than what Zach Wilson was providing for them, to upset the Dolphins tomorrow with their defense at home?
If they can come out with the right game plan, which I think is just running the football and being completely safe with the football play, time of possession game against the Dolphins, right? If they can come out, punch Tua in the mouth in this game, right? Get the defense going, get after the quarterback. I think there's is it a better chance than Seattle beating San Fran?
No, I don't think so. If Seattle's fully healthy, no, I think Seattle has a much better chance to upset than Tim Boyle or whatever the hell his name is.
I guess what I'm looking at in this game, how soft are the Miami Dolphins?
Yeah.
For this to only be a 9.5
Tua
point
turns
spread.
The ball over 3 times, shit, like exactly what the Eagles did essentially. Yeah. Like, will they lose a game like that?
It would take that. We see their defense is capable of making that happen, but should it happen? It shouldn't happen. The Dolphins should come out here and take care of business. But
I'll
we
ask you this
just
too.
saw a Dolphins team play down to the Las Vegas Raiders. So
Absolutely, and that was at home in Miami. This is up
yeah,
here. I don't know about North Jersey. I'd have to check the weather, but here in South Jersey for the
it's gonna
last
be
2 days,
freezing.
it has been dark and cold and rainy and muggy, and you wonder what that looks like tomorrow. In North Jersey, I don't know. So if it is a cold, windy, rainy type of game, that definitely favors the New York Jets defense instead of the
Yeah.
Miami Dolphins offense.
And Brees Hall is a beast.
Yeah, it's
So
just you wonder what this dude is, man, because if you think about it, ultimately what they try to do with Zach Wilson is just that. Now, did they run the ball enough to Brees Hall? Probably not. But all they did was run the ball, but defenses knew they were going to run the ball. So they stacked the boxes, and they asked Zach Wilson to make a throw here or there. Couldn't really do so. Well,
didn't
is
really
this dude
work
going to
out well.
come in and make that throw here and there to continue drives on third downs, to punch it in for touchdowns instead of field goals in the red zone?
Right.
We're going to find out tomorrow. But I don't think so. I think that the Dolphins will come away with a win here. I think it'll be an ugly game, man. I think that this
Yeah,
defense
I
will
have a
keep them in
feeling
it,
too.
but I think that the Dolphins will end up winning this game. Let me ask you though, 9.5 or 10 if you altered it. Is that something you look at? Jets plus 10?
Okay, Jets plus. I thought
Yeah.
you were asking the other way. Miami
No,
spread.
no.
I can't with that quarterback.
I
What
know.
if he throws 2 interceptions and they go back
I
for
know.
touchdowns? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, nah, I wouldn't put my money on that. Let me ask you this: out of these 4 games over the Thanksgiving and Black Friday, which one of these games do you expect to be the most competitive, and which one of these games do you expect to be the most far spread?
I'll say that tomorrow, that Friday's game is the most competitive simply because I think it'll be ugly. I think it'll be close scoring for most of it. Yeah, maybe Miami does cover the 10, but it comes late in the game or something like that. They go
I
up
feel that.
12.
Yeah, I can see that.
So I think it'll be close in from that standpoint that it's a close score. I'm hoping that Seattle and San Francisco is the close, tight game.
Yeah.
As far as the biggest score difference, I'm going to go with the Lions at 12:30, man. I think that in Detroit, like you said, they're humming. I legitimately think they're going to score 35 plus points tomorrow in this one, and I think that Jordan Love turns the ball over once or twice. I'll go Lions like 37-23 or something in this game, maybe less for Green Bay.
That's not bad. Yeah, I can see that. I can see Dallas as well being the widest
Dallas
spread.
there's
They've
just
been
a vibe
beating me.
around the Dallas game where, yeah, they could blow them out, but at the same time, Washington could keep it competitive. We've seen it on
Yeah,
Thanksgiving before where lesser quarterbacks have kept games competitive against Dallas. The question I have, like I said, is what's Dallas's strength on defense? Rushing the passer
yeah,
and creating turnovers. What is Sam Howell's biggest threat and fear so far this year?
facts.
Getting the shit kicked out of him and hit. So
Yeah,
that's going to be the storyline of the game. If Dallas is able to get home, he's turning that ball over, bro. And one
yeah,
might go back for a score, to be honest with you. So
yeah.
it'll definitely be an interesting one to keep an eye on. But guys, that is going to wrap up this Thanksgiving Day and Black Friday game preview here on DSM Media's NFL Turf Talk YouTube channel. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We greatly appreciate each and every one of you that are interactive here with us. It makes the shows 1,000 times more fun. For myself, for Scotty, have a great rest of your holiday.